It's been more than 6.5 decades since the Korean War ended in a truce, but even now, the remains of some 130,000 South Korean soldiers are still unaccounted for. The South Korean and U.S. governments have been working in tandem to recover and identify the war dead, and their achievements are being shown at a special exhibition in Seoul. Our Lee Ji-won was there.
I didn't think they'd be able to find my father since over 60 years have passed. But a year after I gave my DNA sample to the recovery agency, I was told that they found him.
I burst into tears the moment I saw my father's remains.
After 67 years, these families have finally been reunited with their fathers and brothers, brave men who made the ultimate sacrifice during the 1950 to 1953 Korean War. Thanks to the government's tireless efforts over the past 17 years, the remains of 121 South Korean soldiers have been identified and were either given back to their families or buried in the National Cemetery. To share their stories, a joint exhibition by the Ministry of National Defense Agency for Killed in Action Recovery and Identification and the National Museum of Korean Contemporary History opened on Tuesday in central Seoul.
With interviews from the reunited families and remnants from the battlefield, the exhibition seeks to look back on the Korean War and remember the pain and sacrifices made.
Rusty rifles, dented helmets, and battered combat shoes. Some 2,500 recovered items are on display to help visitors get a sense of how perilous the battlefields would have been and the long days and nights the soldiers had to endure.
These remnants are evidence of what my father achieved. Seeing them makes me feel like I actually met my father.
And through videotaped interviews with the families of the fallen, the exhibition brings visitors closer to the soldiers.
It will remind them that all these young men that went to war had a story, and they lived lives, they breathed. And to come and to see this, I think it really hits home. And it drives what we do as an organization. It drives what MACRI does as an organization. And that's to go out and find and return these young men to the families that miss them so.
The 2-month-long exhibition also displays the detailed process of returning the fallen heroes to their families, from locating them to identifying them, showing visitors the long journey to bring these brave men back to their families. And through activities like this, the agency said it'll continue to work hard to recover the remains of the 130,000 Korean soldiers who are still missing in action after the Korean War until every last person is found. Lee Ji-won, Arirang News.